Hey coin lovers! Welcome back to the place where every coin tells a story. Today, we're diving into the history and value of a very common coin, the 1981 Canada 1 cent. You've probably seen one before, or maybe even have it in your collection. But have you ever wondered what it's really worth in today's market? Stick around, you might be surprised. The 1981 Canada 1 cent coin is part of the Elizabeth II penny series that ran for decades in Canadian currency. These coins were minted by the Royal Canadian Mint, and 1981 marked a very high mintage year. More than 1.2 billion coins were produced. Yes, that's billion with a B, precisely 1,209,424,000 coins. On the obverse, we see the familiar portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold Machin. The reverse side features the iconic maple leaf twig, a national symbol of Canada, designed by G. E. Kruger Gray. 1981 was a time of economic inflation in Canada, which meant coins were being produced in large quantities to meet circulation demands. But does high mintage mean the coin has no value today? Let's find out. Now, let's talk specifications. The 1981 Canada 1 cent coin is made of 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. That gives it that classic reddish-brown appearance we all recognize. T weighs 2.8 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 millimeters, and features a plain edge. Being mostly copper, it actually has a bit of metal value, especially when copper prices rise. Now for the big question, what is the 1981 1 cent coin worth today if it circulated? Well, in average circulated condition, this coin is very common. That means its collector value is still quite low, typically worth 1 to 5 Canadian cents. That's right, it's mostly face value if it has been heavily used. However, copper collectors might still buy them in bulk for the metal content. At current copper prices, a 1981 penny has a melt value of around 2 to 3 cents Canadian, but keep in mind, melting Canadian coins for their metal is illegal in Canada. If you're lucky enough to have a mint state or uncirculated coin, that's where things get a bit more interesting. In MS-63 condition, these coins can fetch up to CAD$0.50, and in MS-65 or higher, some collectors have paid up to CAD$2 to $5 for a pristine example. There are also some rare error coins from this year, such as off-center strikes or coins with die cracks, which can be worth several dollars, depending on the severity and rarity. Want to check if your 1981 Canada 1 cent coin is valuable? Here's what to look for: sharp details and know where bright copper luster, no scratches or discoloration, any unusual minting error. You can also use a coin grading scale or get it appraised by a local coin dealer. And remember, condition is everything when it comes to coin value. So there you have it. The 1981 Canada 1 cent coin may not make you rich, but it's a great example of everyday history and an essential piece for collectors of Canadian currency. Got some old pennies lying around? Take a closer look. You never know what you might find. The 1981 Canada 1 cent coin is part of a long and storied tradition of Canadian pennies, dating back to the 1800s. By the time 1981 came around, Canada had already been using the famous maple leaf design for over 4 decades. In 1981, Canada was facing inflation and increased demand for coins, especially low-denomination ones like the 1 cent. As a result, the Royal Canadian Mint produced over 1.2 billion 1 cent coins, making it one of the highest mintage years for the penny. This high volume of production meant the coin became extremely common in circulation. Features a portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by British sculptor Arnold Machin. This design was used from 1965 to 1989. Displays 2 joined maple leaves on a twig, a design by G. E. Kruger Gray, symbolizing Canada's national identity. The design itself hadn't changed for decades and had become a cultural symbol. Many Canadians grew up using this exact coin in everyday life. This composition gave it a distinct reddish-brown color. However, because copper prices were rising globally, Canada would later begin reducing copper content in the penny, eventually switching to steel and then discontinuing the 1 cent coin altogether in 2012. In the early 1980s, Canada was dealing with economic uncertainty, including high inflation and interest rates. The high demand for small change like the 1 cent coin reflected this. People were using coins more frequently for everyday purchases. Although the 1981 Canada 1 cent coin was ordinary during its time, it has become more interesting in hindsight. The Canadian penny was officially discontinued in 2012, making coins like the 1981 penny part of a closed chapter in Canadian currency history. Collectors today look back on coins like the 1981 1-cent piece not for their rarity, but for their connection to everyday Canadian life. The 1973 Canada 1-cent coin. You might have one lying around, but did you know it could be worth more than just a single cent? This tiny copper coin may look ordinary, but it's part of a long and rich history. So, let's explore everything from its design, mintage, errors, and its current circulated value. In 2025, the 1973 Canada 1-cent coin features the classic image of Queen Elizabeth II on the obverse, designed by Arnold McKin. This portrait was used on Canadian coins from 1965 to 1989 and is easily recognized by the Queen wearing a tiara. Now flip it over, and there it is. The famous maple leaf twig on the reverse, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray. 2 maple leaves on a single twig, a symbol of Canadian identity and pride. This reverse design has been in use since 1937. In 1973, the Royal Canadian Mint produced over 457 million 1-cent coins. That's a huge number, so yes, it's common. But wait, keep watching, because some rare varieties and error coins from 1973 have made headlines among collectors. The composition? 98% copper, 0.5% tin, and 1.5% zinc. Each coin weighs 3.24 grams and has a diameter of 19.05 mm. Back in 1973, these were struck in Ottawa, with no mint mark. Now let's talk varieties and errors, the spice of coin collecting. One known variety is the 1973 small date versus large date. Though not officially confirmed for the 1 cent, some collectors speculate minor font differences, so keep an eye out. There are also reports of off-center strikes, double dies, and die cracks. These errors can increase the value dramatically depending on condition and rarity. Now to the big question. What's the value of a 1973 Canada 1-cent coin in circulated condition today, in 2025? If your coin is in average circulated condition, meaning it's been in someone's pocket and shows wear, it's generally worth face value, which is 1 cent CAD. But among collectors, it can sell for about 5 to 10 cents, depending on market demand. If your coin is in uncirculated or mint state, MS 60 or higher, the value increases. Such coins can go $4/$1 to $3 CAD, and even more if it's a certified high-grade piece. Here's a fun fact. In 1973, Canada released a special RCMP 25-cent coin to celebrate the centennial of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. While that's not the 1-cent coin, it made 1973 a memorable year in Canadian numismatics. So to wrap up, your 1973 Canada 1-cent coin may not make you rich overnight, but it's a beautiful piece of Canadian history. And if you spot an error or uncirculated version, you might have a little treasure on your hands. 1978 *** to talk about a tiny copper coin that holds a big place in Canadian history. The Canada 1-cent coin, is it worth more than a penny? Could it be a hidden gem in your pocket change? Let's find out. Let's start with some quick history. The Canada 1-cent coin from 1978 is part of a long-running design that many Canadians grew up with. This version features 2 very iconic designs on the obverse. That's the front, is the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, designed by Arnold McKin. She's shown wearing a tiara, and this portrait was used on Canadian coins from 1965 to 1989, and on the reverse, the back, is the famous maple leaf twig, designed by G.E. Kruger Gray, which has been a symbol of Canadian pride and identity since 1937. The 1978 penny is made of 95.5% copper, 3% tin, and 1.5% zinc, weighs 3.24 grams, has a diameter of 19.05 mm, and a smooth edge. That year, over 854 million coins were minted. That's a huge number, which tells us that most of these coins were heavily circulated. Oh, the big question is, what is the value of a circulated 1978 Canadian 1-cent coin today? If you have a coin that's been used in everyday transactions, a circulated coin, then most likely, it's worth about 1 cent in face value. But wait, there's more to the story. Because of its high copper content, many of these old Canadian pennies are actually worth more in metal value than face value. As of now, the copper value of a single 1978 penny is around 2 to 3 cents, depending on the current market price of copper. Collectors, however, don't just go for copper, they want coins in excellent condition. In circulated condition, most 1978 pennies are worth between 1 and 5 cents to collectors. But if your coin is in really nice shape, we're talking almost uncirculated, AU, or mint state, MS, condition, Then you might get more. The ANMS 63 coin can fetch up to $0.50, and coins graded MS 65 or higher by a professional grading service could be worth $1 or more. These kinds of errors are rare and can raise the value significantly, sometimes up to $10 to $50 or even more. Depending on the type and how dramatic the error is, it's always a good idea to check your coins carefully under good lighting or even use a magnifying glass. If you're collecting 1978 pennies, here are a few tips. Look for luster ***. Shiny coins are more desirable. Check for damage ***. Avoid coins with scratches, discoloration, or corrosion. Store them properly ***. Use coin flips or holders to keep them in good condition. Group them by grade ***, and don't be afraid to get one professionally graded if it looks really good. Did you know the Canadian government stopped minting 1-cent coins in 2012? That means the 1978 penny is now part of Canada's coinage history. It may not be rare, but it's definitely a piece of the past worth holding on to, so there you have it. The 1978 Canada 1-cent coin is common, copper-rich, and still collectible. Most circulated coins are worth just a few cents, but pristine, uncirculated ones can fetch a bit more. And if you're lucky to find an error, that could be your jackpot. The 1996 Canada 1-cent coin. Now, you might be thinking, it's just 1 cent. But like many other coins, even the smallest denomination can hold surprising value, especially among collectors. So, what makes the 1996 Canada penny interesting? Is it rare? What's it worth today in circulated condition? Let's find out. The Canadian 1-cent coin, also known as the penny, has been part of Canadian currency since 1858. Over the years, it has gone through several design changes, but one thing stayed consistent: its small yet vital role in Canadian transactions for over 150 years. By 1996, the penny featured the iconic maple leaf twig design by George Kruger Gray on the reverse, and the obverse carried the portrait of Queen Elizabeth II, created by Dora de Pettery Hunt, the first Canadian woman to design the Queen's portrait on a Canadian coin. In 1996, the Royal Canadian Mint struck almost 484 million *** 1-cent coins. Yes, you heard that right, nearly 500 million coins. That means the coin is not rare in terms of quantity. But condition, die varieties, and mint errors are what can make some pieces stand out. Here are the specifications of the 1996 1-cent coin: metal, copper-plated, zinc diameter, 19.05 millimeters weight, 2.35 grams composition, 98.4% zinc, 1.6% copper plating, mintage, around 483, 738,000 inch. Now to the big question. What's it worth today if you have one in circulated condition? Let's break it down. In general, a circulated 1996 Canada 1-cent coin is very common and typically worth 1 cent to 5 cents CAD depending on wear and condition. If it has been well preserved, meaning sharp details, light wear, and no damage, it might go for up to 10 cents CAD from casual collectors. However, if you have an uncirculated or mint state version, especially graded MS 65 or higher, it can be worth $1 to $3 CAD or more depending on demand. Coins graded by professional services like ICCS or PCGS attract better offers from serious buyers. Here's where things get exciting. Some 1996 pennies might have minting errors, and that's where real value can hide. If you spot any of these anomalies on your 1996 penny, get it examined by a professional. It could be worth $10, $50, or even more depending on rarity and condition. Did you know? The 1-cent coin was officially discontinued in Canada in 2012 because it cost more than 1 cent to make each penny. That makes the 1996 penny one of the last generations of circulating Canadian cents before the phase-out. Because of this, interest in older Canadian pennies has grown, not just for their face value, but also for their historical and collectible significance. If you're thinking of selling your 1996 Canada 1-cent coin, here are some tips. Check condition first. ***. Use a magnifier and compare it to grading charts. Look for errors. ***. Check the date, edges, and lettering. Group bulk coins. ***. If you have dozens of 1996 pennies, consider selling them in lots online. Use eBay or collector forums. ***. Sites like eBay, Etsy, or coin collector Facebook groups are great for finding buyers. Consider grading ***. If you believe you have an MS 65 plus coin or an error, get it professionally graded. So, while the 1996 Canada 1-cent coin may not be worth a fortune, it's still a fascinating piece of numismatic history. And who knows, that one penny in your drawer might just be a hidden gem. Do you have a 1996 Canadian penny? Let us know in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more coin stories from around the world. This is Signing Off, where every coin tells a story.